Okay, so the way I'm just going to show you how a kind of a little cheat to make a sunshade, because if you were to make it completely correctly, you would have to make a repetitive family, and you'd have to get into a lot of detail about it. But if we're making a simple sunshade, like a metal structure sunshade, we can use the railing tool to do it, because the sunshade is simply a series of struts that run along, and then a series of rails that run on top of those struts. So it's exactly the same as a railing, it just turned on its side. So we can quickly set up any kind of sunshade we want, as long as it's the kind of sunshade that hangs off the building instead of being one that deals with the depth of the facade or something like that. So I'm just going to go into the 3D view here. I just started a new project, and I'm going to just draw a railing like this, and we'll put a curve on the end as well, so something like that. So if I accept that, we've got that basic Revit railing in there. That's our starting point. So I'm just going to select it, edit it, duplicate it, and we call it Sunshade. So I'm making an actual railing type that's called Sunshade, so we can use it as many times as we want. I'm just going to press OK. So what we need now is to replace these balusters with something that's lying horizontally in order to have a sunshade. So this is where we start using families again. So I'm going to go into New, Family. I'm going to use a metric baluster post as a template, like that. And I'm going to go into the front view. So here we have the position that the post, the baluster will go in at the ground level, and here you have the top rail up here. So I'm just going to draw an extrusion like this. I'm going to pick a plane, front to back, okay, and we can effectively just then draw a square or a rectangle like that, and I'm going to make it 1200 long. And we'll make it 150 mils high, like that. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit of a distortion so we get some kind of change as we go through it. I mean, you can model it pretty much any way you want, but I'm just going to make it, that type of shape. Later on, you can add more detail to it if you really want to get into it. But because I'm drawing it directly on the front-back plane, I want it to extrude equally behind the plane and in front of the plane. So if I'm going to make it 50 millimeters thick, I'm going to change the extrusion start to minus 25 and the extrusion end to plus 25, like that. Apply, and if I accept that, I go into 3D view like this. That's pretty much what I've made there, okay? But it's positioned, its origin point right here in the center is placed where the baluster will come up off the ground. So let's just save that. Save as family, put it on the desktop as usual. I'm going to call it strut. And then I can load it into the project. So it's in the memory of the project now. So if I select now this sunshade railing, I should be able to edit the type and then just change the baluster structure from the square type to the strut type, like that. If I apply that, we've got the struts have started to draw around in a, following the line of the railing. But they follow the geometry of the railing as well, which you want them to do. If I just OK that, you can see it's still got the starting rail and the corner rail here and the end rail are still the basic ones. So we need to go back in and change that. So I select that again, edit the type, edit the balusters. And there's a couple of things I can do here. I can say break pattern never. If I say break pattern never and press apply, you can see it just continues the pattern around, so it doesn't break it at the corner points. But I can also change the end points to the same, or the end balusters to the same object, like that. And then we've got something that's set up like this. Does that make sense? All right. So now I'm just going to change the spacing of that so it's more realistic. So I'm going to say edit the type, edit the baluster placement, and we'll change the distance between them to 1200. Press apply. And there we go. So that's kind of, you know, looks good as a starting point. We can also select it and we can flip it depending on how we want it to address the curve and so forth. So we can do that. So the next thing we need to do is to actually put the blades around the top. So I'm just going to come in here. For this, for making the blades, we just use the rail, because the rail will draw, you know, along the line of any railing we've drawn. So all I need to do is make a metric profile, as we've done many times before. So I'm going to say new, new family. Go down and find a metric profile template. And draw a line. I'm going to draw it. Let's draw it over here. Actually, let me think about this. I'm not sure how it's going to come in. So let's say 45 degrees. And we'll just make it 150 mils long. Just move that back into place. Like that. So this is kind of the angle for the blade I want to do. So I'm just going to give it a quick shape by going, creating a line. Going to start a curve here, put the end over here, and we'll just turn it into some kind of a blade. You can make it square. If you want to make it a timber shade, you can just make a rectangle or whatever. I'm going to make it this shape. So I select the curve now, and I can mirror it around the guideline I've just made there. Delete the guideline, and then we've got the shape of the blade we want to have. Okay, so I'll just save that as well. Save as family. We'll call it blade, and then we can load it into the project. So it's a profile sitting in the project. We just need to then edit the railing again, go into the rail structure, and then we can change the profile to blade. And if I just do that one and apply it, you can see that it makes this blade running around the inside of the railing there like that. So we just need to repeat that. Move it down first of all. And this is where you can get into trouble, because the railing is designed, the railing tool is designed so that the balusters shoot up until they hit the top rail. You have to be kind of play with it a little bit so that the railing doesn't go below the level of the struts we've made, or else it'll just disappear. So let's see how we can do that. So let's go to change it to 0 to start with. Apply. Yeah, it's giving us a problem there. So we'll give it. We'll just make it at 100. 150 even. There we go. So it's put it at 150. We can give it a material. So whatever we want to call it, before we copy it, we give it a material. So let's make it I don't know, zinc. And then I can just select it and duplicate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoops. Shit. My mouse has started going weird. Let's start that again. Edit. Edit rail structure. Blade. Make it zinc. And then
rendering.
Yeah, I'll do that later. So then just duplicate it. Yeah, that's probably enough. And all we do is we just we give it an offset that works. So the first one was 150. The second one was 300. Third one was oh sorry, I'm doing it the wrong way around. Everything should be 150. I've confused myself now. Let me just start that again. 150. Let's just apply that and see if it works. Yeah, that's the right height. Change that to 0. Now we can duplicate it. So then we can change the offset here. So it offsets it further and further out from the railing as we go. So I'm going to change it to 150, 300, 450, 600, 750, 900, 1050, and then 1200. Apply. So then you have a repeatable sunshade that you can then apply to any building. It's simply a case of going into the plan view, drawing a railing like this, making sure it's the correct one. Select this, change it to sunshade, and once you do that, you can give it an offset from the ground level. So you can decide exactly what level you want it to be up in the air. So you can just decide, you want it to be at 2.4 meters above the floor level of the house, and you can just use that continuously around your building, and it just works. It works to the level you need for most design elements, but it also calculates the amount of material in it as well. Okay. Is that too fast? Any questions about that? No. That's all I wanted to give you today, because that's kind of the end of the